It's been a solid work day today. Sunday, my mum's been down here. My nephew and nieces have been down. My daughter had a 10th birthday party yesterday. We had 7 or 8 10-year-old girls around. Had a great time. They went to bowling, 10-pin bowling. They had some lunch. Went in the pool, hide and seek. It was just an epic, really cool day. And then my mum's been down, and my nephew and nieces have been down. And my mum was like, "Hey, Tom, your house. What's going on with your house? It's dirty." I'm like, yeah, I know it's dirty. I know it needs a clean, it needs a pressure wash, and I don't want to do it. That was my attitude this morning. And I know how much it costs to get it done. It's like maybe $500-600, and that was probably 2 years ago that we paid that. So we probably increased that out to $800. Being Byron prices and all, you may as well just add like 20%, just random, just like, here you go, add 20%. It's not quite as bad. One of my friends was joking around about Sydney. It's like you walk out the door, it's $50. In Byron, it's just 20% on everything. And it's a tourist town. It's a wonderful place. Don't get me wrong. It's an amazing place. I mean, I don't know whether you can see, just chilling. We've just entered daylight saving today. So I was up 5:30. I didn't want to go to 5 a.m. straight away because I know that yesterday 5 a.m. was 4 a.m. and I want to just merge into that a little bit easily. This traditionally has been a very difficult week for me. Because the sleep time is still delayed, but the wake time is earlier. So I get tired. And right now, I looked at the clock and I'm like, whoa, it's 6 o'clock. Haven't gone live. What's going on? And it can really creep up very quickly with the time. And it means waking up earlier, but also going to bed earlier. Now, tomorrow, public holiday. Pretty good. I think this is well timed. But on the other side, I know what's coming in April. And April, essentially, we're going to be into those long, dark mornings. 7 a.m., still dark. And so it'd be great if we kind of matched it up. October, November, December, January, February, end of March instead of end of April. But, you know, whatever. It's cool. Or even better, line it up with solstices, like the sun, so the timing is the same. But overall, so my mum's gone, hey, do the work. And I was like, you know what? Let's see if my son is interested. Now, my son is interested because he wants a new surfboard. We're down 2 surfboards right now. We got one surprise fin break, the fin box broke, and then the second one hadn't been repaired. He put his foot through the deck, and I'm like, okay, you can borrow my board. Don't break my board. But I just watched him do some pop. He said, Dad, you know, today my pops were great, and it's a terrible day for surfing here. The wind is northerly. It's a mess. It's just like, oh, what is this day? And he still went out. I was like, go out, get in the water. Another day in the water for you. And I was a little jealous just not to be able to go and do that. I had to go pick up my car. We had a party at a friend's house at the AFL last night and had some drinks, and my wife had a few more drinks, and I was under limit, drove home. It was fine. She was over limit. So we had both cars there, had to leave one there. So I dropped him, and he came back and he said, Dad, my pops were great. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, I'm looking up, arms are down, popping with spring. And he did one for me, and I was like, ooh, that's nice. Looked nice. It looked smooth. It looked like it just had a feeling of being natural. Which, if you're a surfer, you know this. This is not the easiest thing to get to. If you're not a surfer, you look at those guys surfing and go, oh, what's that? Not hard. You go out there, it's like, oh my God, what is this sport? But his pops today were looking beautiful. I was like, ooh, nice pop. Smooth landing gently on the board, crouch down low. I was like, oh, when the waves come again, he's going to be in form. But I got to get his boards fixed. Got to get the boards fixed. So he was like, you know what, Dad? I want a 3rd board. I'm like, okay, whatever. He's gone on Facebook Marketplace and pulled out an $80 surfboard. I'm like, okay. And then he said, I said, well, guess what we got? We got some work today. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, let's get the house washed down. You're on house washing. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours. I'll pay you $80. You get the surfboard. And so he went ahead and I helped him out, which was good, because it means moving all of the furniture off the verandas, and then pressure cleaning, then moving all of the furniture back on. It's a reasonable amount of work, but the actual pressure cleaning itself is pretty fun. The moving the furniture, less so. 2 people doing it made a big difference. But this has been good. My wife also resolved a broken brush cutter situation that we had. So our current brush cutter is under repair. There's delays on repairing. It's another $400. It's like, okay, like if you think 2 acres and the dream of 2 acres, you're like, man, it'd be nice. Like, it is nice. Like, check it out. Check it out. Like, literally, no one here. We got our cottage rented out with Stewie and Kez. But essentially, this is like the ultimate privacy, which I value highly. It's kind of ironic to be doing Facebook Lives when I value my privacy so much, but nonetheless. So the brush cutter that we normally have is a Husqvarna. It's a wonderful tool. It is a weapon. That thing destroys, particularly with the steel blade. But it's out of action and the grass is getting long. And so my wife is like, let's get another one. I'm like, okay, fine. So she went off and got a Ryobi. We got a bit more Ryobi gear. And so we now have 2 brush cutters and it looks pretty good. I was like, ooh, that actually works. It's not as maneuverable. It's a little different, but the brush cutter's in action. My wife's been on the brush cutter. The house got washed and I then also managed to solve a little tech problem. Now, for those of you who are tech-orientated, you may appreciate this. For those of you who are not, then you also will appreciate this. You're like, what's going on? So, I've had my phone for a while, and it kept coming up with a exclamation mark with the 4G. 4G exclamation mark. And I'm like, man, this is annoying. What is going on here? What is going on? Now, I've had a few other problems with the SMS not sending, missing a few calls. And I was like, don't know. Anyway, I jump onto tech support and they're like, okay, why don't you sign in with this email address? And then suddenly it popped up. And I was like, well, okay, let's just see whether this is a data problem. And, well, they actually suggested that. And they said, Tom, you know what? You bought the cheaper phone one this month, which I'm not going to do again. $22 for 7 gigabytes, blew through that, plus no international calls. And I was like, why is my international calls not working? On the $22 plan, you don't get that. You got to go to 35. I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, he's like, I'm going to compute 35 gigs of data. I'm like, okay, fine. All right, that works. That's awesome. Thank you, Boost. Anyway, he does that. And it starts working. And I'm like, man, was this just a data problem the whole time? Like I've been trying to sort it out, going on Wi-Fi, how to fix it up, move to IPv4, IPC. I don't know if you've ever had these tech problems where you go and try and solve them over and over, nothing's working, causing more chaos, and then finally it's some problem you hadn't thought of, a la not having enough data, and when I got the data, suddenly it's working. So we'll see. We'll see whether this is solving the problem or not, but it has been a good day. It's definitely a good day. We've got the NRL football tonight. Going to kick back, enjoy that. Still got to get after my General's tent, which needs to be done. Set myself up, review what happened this week. Certainly fell in a hole Thursday, Friday, like zero production Thursday and Friday, but need to own that, reset, and go, okay, what's happening from here? This method of living is a very interesting one. It's a scientific method that when you first see it, it's like, what the heck is going on here? Setting a 12-month goal and then a monthly goal in alignment with that, and then a weekly goal in alignment with that, and then each day having the opportunity to do the work to go ahead with that. And I think this methodology breaks down the steps. And even though the 12-month goal is lofty, typically it's set high and impossible gain. What's impossible? It's literally not possible for me to do that. But by consistently hitting work after work after work, you start to get synergistic improvements. And instead of being a linear improvement, it goes logarithmic. And you can bridge the gap over 12 months. You know, here's the craziest thing. Like, it took a while to learn, and then it took a while to live, and then it took a while to leverage. And now, 5 years in, I'm like, oh, I'm finally getting it. Now, hopefully you'll be a whole lot quicker. And also, as doctors, we tend not to need, like, even if you just had the ability to resolve your emotional difficulties, the stuff that pisses you off, that's called the stack. The ability to look after your body, to look after your being, to look after your balance, to look after your business games, all of these can be handled without any of this 12-month target stuff. And for some of you, it's absolutely critical. This could be a massive piece just to deal with the amount of stress, difficulties, all sorts of problems that we've got. Like, we are confronted with the difficulties in humanity, and humanity right now is not doing that great. Apparently. I don't know. You know, maybe it's doing just fine. And I get that too. And it's all perfect. But at the cold front, as we are as doctors dealing with people, like, people are struggling. They're overweight, they're unable to focus, ADHD going through the roof, drug use going through the roof, families falling apart, purpose, no idea what's going on. Like, this is a mess. This is a mess. And so to have some kind of structure that actually works for this, the code, the stack, the core, the door, the game. 5 components that make up a methodology for living and enabling leveraging on every other part of your life and everything that you've done before. Like, I'm MKP trained, I'm heavily into Bhakti, I do harmonium, I'm a kirtan wala, all of that leveraged. And those also play back into this warrior's way. It's pretty cool. I'm like, man, this is exciting. I don't know where this is all going. I know that it has kept my family intact. It's kept me sane through some extreme difficulties, which I definitely hope you do not have to face. And at the end of the day, life's pretty good. Life's pretty good. And that, if nothing else you take from this, then perhaps, even if you're having a shitty day tomorrow, know that things can change for you. Know that there are methods and structures that if you implement, then you will get a result that makes your life better. I'm like, oh, sweet. If you want that, let me know. If you want that, let me know. Dr Tom at GraduateMedicine.com. All right, I'm going to go cook some dinner and hang out with my kids, hang out with my wife. Hope you have an awesome day. Catch you next time.